Okay. Okay, that's enough. All right. Hi, and welcome to Angel in the Outfield, the podcast. And this is your host speaking, Dan Costales. Um, what what this podcast is I'm gonna watch every single episode of the show Angel, starring David Boreanaz and a cast of colorful characters, and it's gonna be good. You know, because a lot of people do these podcasts where they watch some popular show from the '90s or something, and now I'm doing it, and we're gonna see how this turns out. Because hopefully this turns out good. The title is, and I hope I don't get issues with the Disney estate, but Angel in the Outfield is a play on Angel, um, the movie Angels in the Outfield. So here we go. Here we go. The first episode, I watched it. It's called City of. So it starts off with David Boreanaz. He's drunk. He's at a bar. He's up. He's bothering people, but then these people leave, and with these girls, these pretty ladies leave with these pretty guys. But it turns out they're vampires, and then they're like, "We're gonna get you, pretty ladies." But David Boreanaz is like charming, and he shows up, and then he murders the vampires, and the girls run away. Or, well, no, he makes the girls. Anyway, the title begins, and it's Angel. Um, and it's, you know, here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you people. With my audience, I've never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I have no clue what's going on. I don't know who these people are. I don't know if these are reoccurring characters. I guess Angel was a guy, because like Angel goes back to his place, and this guy named Dylan or Donald, I don't remember, shows up, and he just gives like plot exposition, and he's like, "Hey, you once had a soul, and then you became a vampire, and you stole your soul, and then you did it with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and you're a vampire." And Donald can see like time. He gets like visions. I don't know why he's there. Maybe they explain that in a future episode. They sure as heck don't do it here. Because I'm like, what's this? Why does this guy know all this stuff? Either ways, Donald drinks a 40 and tells him to go meet a lady named Tina at like a coffee place. And David Boreanaz goes and meets Tina. And she has issues, and she wears nice dresses. And they drive to a big Hollywood party. And they meet a bunch of people. And David Boreanaz goes to the nice Hollywood party in like a sweater. He just wears a sweater, and he does a lot of action scenes in sweaters. I don't know if this is a character thing, because like they get chased by hoodlums, and then he jumps into like a convertible and drives it around a bit. Oh, and he meets the other lady at the party who's from the show, the other show. Her name is Cordelia, and she pretends to be rich, but she actually isn't. And she goes home to her bad apartment, but her apartment's pretty nice. It's pretty huge. They just need to paint the walls a little bit. And I guess it more is like about how she's not happy with her life. Like, when you're in a place and you realize like it's not necessarily you're in like where you want yourself to be. Like when you're 26 years old and you want to be in this place, but you're not there. This morning, so I go to Starbucks I get coffee and I sit down outside to drink the coffee. And then just something happens in my stomach and I'm like, no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. No, I'm not going to use the bathroom. I'm not going to. I go into the bathroom. Luckily, it's not locked. I put my coffee down on the floor and I just start vomiting my Americano into the toilet bowl. Just everything comes out. Anyways, she takes Tina back to the apartment and there's a bunch of swords on the wall. And she doesn't really, she thinks it's funny, but it's like, that's number one, lady. Hey, baby. The number one thing you need to know if you go to your man's house, he's got battle axes stapled to the wall. You're not in a good place. Anyway, he goes to the local library and hacks the computers, and he types in murders young women, and he finds out that her friend was murdered by the mean man that's threatening her. No, it's not looking good for Tina. Um, but Tina thinks Angel. David Boreanaz works for the mean man, so she runs away, and then she meets the mean man, and then he turns into a ghoul and he murders her, and Angel feels kind of bad about it. And the ghoul lives in a comical mansion. It's pretty great, and he invites Cordelia, the other lady, to his comically oversized mansion. And Angel shows up. Donald drives a car and screams. It's kind of good. It's okay, but they rescue her. David Boreanaz the next day shows up at the mean man's building, and he's like, "Hey, I'm the guy in this town." He's like, "No, well, you don't know how things are run here." And then David Boreanaz just kicks him out a window. No one really seems to mind. And then he explodes because he's like a vampire. And Cordelia, and they forget about Tina. Tina's toast. They forget about her. Um, and they let Cordelia move in, and she's like their secretary, and Donald is there too. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I, I, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really like the show very much. Um, it's not really my taste. But I can't really blame them. They were doing the best that they could. Joss Whedon and Greg Greenwald, they tried to make the show about the vampire and he moves to Los Angeles. And I mean, you could have had more fun with it. You could have had him, like, doing funny things. Like, he's like, oh boy, Los Angeles. I'm not used to this. All this smog. Woo-wee. And then he, like, grabs his nose and he's like, oh, it's stinky here. Um, he, like, goes to a movie studio and gets onto a film set and he's like, oh no, that man's gonna shoot that lady. But it's like the director is like, hey, no, we're shooting a movie. And he's like, oh god dang it, I thought this was real life. And he was like kung fu fighting people with his vampire power. They didn't do any of that. He just stays inside most of the time. But I guess it's because he's a vampire and they probably couldn't afford the big sets because it was just the first episode. I don't know. It's not for me. You know? I don't know to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to do another episode. This might be it. Well, you know, it's there's good Angel. David Boreanaz is Angel. Okay. Thank you for listening to my podcast, Angel in the Outfield. Goodbye.